record. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to pull mine up right here just so I can look at it. So we are going to start. We did last week 1 through 5. We did the laws 1 through 5. Okay. So we did. Sorry, I'm going to make sure everyone's muted before we start, just so everyone can hear. Okay. So 1 through 5 were the law of the lid, meaning leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. 2, the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. The law of process. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. So it's an ongoing process. It happens continuously. So just like we say, you don't have to touch your business all day, but you do have to touch it every day. Leadership isn't something that you're going to be able to do once or twice or 3 times with a great act, but the things that you do consistently every single day, the things that appear menial or even meaningless, but doing them consistently is really what helps people see you and view you as a leader. The law of navigation. Anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. And then lastly, last week we touched on the law of addition. Leaders add value by serving others. So now we are going to start with 6 through 11. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. 6 through 10. So we will first start off with the law of solid ground. Trust is the foundation of leadership. And if we're going back to previous series that we've done on these Zooms, we did the 5 dysfunctions of leadership. And if you remember correctly, the very foundation of that at the very bottom was gaining trust, because without trust, you cannot build anything on top of that. And so doing the law of solid ground, the 3 criteria that you needed to evaluate yourself on was the people I lead confide in me regarding sensitive issues. And I want, when you're grading yourself this way, I don't want you to think of, are people approaching you as a means of confiding and problem solving, or are they coming to you for like a bitch fest? Okay. And what I mean by that is, are they coming to you and are they like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this, don't tell anybody else, but blah, 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 blah. That's not what I mean. That is not what you should be rating yourself on with this. When other people come to you like, oh my gosh, I just need to vent for a second. That's not what you're grading yourself on, because a lot of you get people in your inboxes like that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the way maybe you go to a person you really respect to help you solve a matter, whether it's a mom, a pastor, your aunt, your uncle, whatever. Right? Those are the kinds of things I'm talking about. Who do you go to when you have a moral dilemma? That's how you should be evaluating it. Okay. So are you that person that people come to when they have moral dilemmas, when they have things that are like, hey, I'm really trying to choose between a rock and a hard place. I need some advice. I need you to hear me out. Hey, I can't do X, Y, and Z because I'm in the middle of going through a divorce and I'm just really trying to, can people confide in you for sensitive issues? B, I tell someone in the organization that I will do something, they can count on me to follow through. Okay. So when you tell a leader, or when you tell your downline, or you tell someone that you are going to do something, can you be relied upon to follow through without canceling, without postponing, without making excuses, and truly be honest with yourself? Okay. Really, really, really be honest with yourself about this, because it's all about reliability. Okay. So this is all about solid ground, right? So can people depend on you? Because dependability and leadership really go hand in hand. And C is I avoid undermining others or talking behind their backs. Okay, this is a big one, especially for women. We are talkers by nature. We talk our feelings out, right? So oftentimes when we have feelings about another person, we confide in another, and we vent a lot about those people. But if you do that too much, it is talking behind that person's back. If you do not have the balls to essentially go to that person and say, this is what you're doing that is driving me bonkers. I feel disrespected in this way. I feel blah, blah, blah. Okay. If you're telling other people things that you would never tell this other person, that is talking behind their back. Okay. And sometimes people get it twisted. There might be times where I will talk to my friends, or I will say this, or I will say that as a means of organizing my thoughts, and then go to that person and be like, hey, here's the problem we have. How do we fix it? Okay. And so that's a good difference to note, is that you want to make sure, are we doing that? Because sometimes we can, and you can get so caught up gossiping about other people, and then you wonder why no one confides in you about sensitive issues, right? So they kind of feed themselves. So that's the number 6. So I'll also read here what he has in his book. So for those who are new and were not with us last week, we are working from John C. Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And they do have the book and the workbook. We are using the workbook. So number 6, the law of solid ground. One of the things he uses is, it says, if Robert McNamara had known the law of solid ground, the war in Vietnam and everything that happened at home because of it would have turned out 100% different. And he talks a lot in here about what those are, about what, how it would have turned out differently. And that's what I love about this, is it's super practical, and it really talks a lot about practical things in real life with leaders, and how this law, or lack thereof, really impacted the situation. All right, moving on to number 7, the law of respect. And this is one that I see a lot, especially with either new leaders that garner a lot of momentum really quick and become, I don't say become leaders, but step into a leadership role probably a little prematurely, or people who just are naturally, they want to impact others, they want to be a leader, but they have not gained the respect from their people beforehand. Okay, so the law of respect, there are 3 in there that say, number 1 is, people are naturally drawn to me and often want to do things with me just to spend time with me. Okay. There are people in your downline, people in your community. Tammy, it is John C. Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. So the law of respect, number 1, is that people go out of their way to try to spend time with you. And obviously, because of all the COVID stuff, this could be that people are continually in your private messages. People are constantly trying to reach out to you one-on-one. If there's a chance to do a Thrive interview, people are asking you. People are reaching out to you. And so that's kind of how I want you to use it when it comes to this aspect with the law of respect, is that people really seek to soak up your time, again, because they respect you and the qualities and characteristics that you emote, that they want to soak those up, right? So when they say you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around most, they are trying to hang around you most, which means that they respect you because they want you to influence their character. B is, when I tell someone in the I go out of my way to show respect and loyalty to the people that I lead. Do you treat others with respect as well, right? Kind of that whole golden rule thing we all learned growing up, right? So do you respect other people in your organization, above you, below you, beside you, whatever? Do you show them the same amount of respect? Okay, because if you are a person who feels entitled to respect, that you can demand respect simply because of your rank or position, then you are not showing respect and loyalty to the people you lead. And I'm also going to highlight the loyalty piece, because that goes back a little bit to the solid foundation, the number 6 law, which is, if your people do not feel you are loyal to them, if they do not feel like you are part of their tribe, and we talked about this in tribal leadership a couple weeks ago, if they don't feel that, they will not respect you. Okay. A lot of us have worked normal jobs and have had really crappy bosses. And the reason we didn't like them because they were crappy is because we felt they did not respect us. You can't have a crappy boss that respects you. Like you just can't. If they respect you, they respect you, they respect your time, they respect your ethics and your morals and things that are important to you. They take into account your opinion. While they may not be able to do everything you want, they consider you when making decisions. And so I want you to think about that. Do you respect and have the same amount of loyalty for the people in your tribe and in your team that you expect them to have for you? Okay. The last one in the law, and number 7, is I make courageous decisions and take personal risks that could benefit my followers if there was no, even if there's no benefit to me. So I want you to think about, we always use like the tour guide option. If you guys are all lost in the woods and there's the leader and they're doing certain things, the leader is the one that will always volunteer to go first, that will be the first person to say, hey, this bridge looks really unsafe, but we have to cross it. I will go first. They personally risk everything to lead the group. They are sacrificing certain things personally, even though it may have no gain on their behalf. Okay. Are they investing their time, their money, their effort, their energy, their whatever to you, to the team, even though it may or may not benefit them? Now, there is that balance. Some people may become entitled to that leader's time, money, effort, blah, 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 blah. And when that leader decides to create some boundaries, the team can have some feelings about that. But in general, is the leader sacrificing things? And this is, I want you to understand sacrifice. Sacrifice is different for every single person. Okay. Some people are incredibly wealthy, but are poor on time. So if somebody is giving you, who is poor in time, giving you their time, that is incredibly valuable, and they are most certainly sacrificing. Okay. It would be much easier for them just to send you $50, say thanks, and send you on your merry little way. But if they don't have a lot of time and they are talking with you or doing a one-on-one or going out to lunch with you or doing whatever, that is a personal sacrifice. If they don't have a lot of money, right, and they have a lot of time, but they're spending money, I want you to think about that. Okay. So I want you to think about whatever is a personal sacrifice to them, and are they taking risks? Monkey see, monkey do. We cannot ask people to take personal risks if we are not, as leaders, willing to do them ourselves. If we are not, you cannot ask your team to do double, triple, and invest money up front in, buybacks or the cash back option if you are not doing it also. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. With the last one is just, you make courageous decisions that take personal risks that could benefit your followers if there is no benefit to you. Right. This leads into the book that I'm reading by Simon Sinek called Leaders Eat Last. And so this law is your highest score. I have no doubt, Tracy. No doubt at all. And so I'm really super excited to lean into that book as well, Leaders Eat Last, because that has a lot to do with this law right here. But in the matter of time, we're going to move on to number 8, the law of intuition. Leaders evaluate everything with a leadership bias. Okay, so the first one is, I can easily gauge morale, whether in a room full of people, on a team, or in an organization. Can you feel the morale of your team? And that's number 1, is just feeling it. Okay. Can you feel the morale shift? If you can't feel a morale shift, you are not focused on the team. You are only focused on you. If you think the team is doing dope, but like your chat is dead, no one's hopping on Zooms, no one has any momentum, no one is close to rank, but you're killing it. You got a PPA of 22. You're about to close out rank and you're like, woohoo, go me. then you have a really crappy way of sensing the morale of your team, because it's not about you, it's about the team. Okay. And so you may need to work on gauging the morale. B is, I often take the right action as a leader, even if I cannot explain why. Do you do what is right, not convenient? Do you do what is morally and ethically correct versus what you probably would want to do in your fleshly self, right? Someone comes up and says, "Oh, this person right here has a really crappy promoter, and I know that they're on a sister leg, but they really want to sign up with me." As a leader, you might be like, "Yeah, you're right. They do have a really crappy promoter. It would really benefit me because it'd be closer to my levels. I would get paid more, blah, 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 blah." But do you make decisions based on ethics and morals rather than kind of what you want? And certain things, like, you just can't explain why. You just know that it's the right call to make. Okay. The last one in this is, I can read situations and sense trends without having to gather hard evidence. Are you perceptive? Do you see what is working? Are you able to look at other teams or other people or other leaders and say, wow, I feel like they're doing something different. What are they doing different? I see what they're doing different. I will now implement this. Okay. Are you perceptive to what is and is not working on your team? In order to do this, you have to be involved with your team to know whether Zooms are or are not working. Guess where your ass has to be? On a Zoom. On a Zoom, seeing who is on the Zooms, right? To know whether or not the links we use work, guess what? I have to use the links. I have to go in and see the analytics and say, are we using the links or aren't we using the links? Or our volume is really crappy, or our PPA, or our this, or our that. What is involved in doing that? Is it closing the deal? Is it doing more samples? Is it more training? Is it whatever? This is your ability to have problem solving skills. If you can read situations and sense trends without having to gather hard evidence, you are a better problem solver. And problem solvers make better leaders, because it's exactly what leaders do. They see problems, solve problems. Moving on to number 9. The law of magnetism. This is going to lead me back to yet another book called Magnetic Sponsoring by Mike Dillard. If you have not read this book yet, please do. Magnetic Sponsoring by Mike Dillard. This is where we get into alpha versus beta energy. For those who follow Alicia and I and our team, we are very, very big into this. I mean, I even got it tattooed on my body with Alicia. So, like, clearly it means a lot to us. So the law of magnetism. A, I am satisfied with the caliber of people who report to me. A lot of people just said, oof, right? I am satisfied with the caliber of people who report to me. Because do you understand? The caliber of people who report to you starts with who? You, me. Okay. Why? Because they are a reflection of your boundaries and your standards. If you are not happy with the caliber of people that report to you, you either change the caliber of people that start to report to you, or you change the caliber of person that currently reports to you. How do you do that? Well, first, you got to level up. You got to level up first in order for others to level up. Those that don't have made their stance quite clear. Okay. And so that's kind of what the law of magnetism talks about, is that if you are a certain caliber of person, you will begin to have magnetic energy to those types of people. So the people you have around you right now are because of what you attract, because of the energy you are putting off. And so it will always come back to you, number one. As a leader, it'll always come back to you. As much as you want to say, I'm a fantastic leader, the people around me are just crappy promoters. They just don't want to do this. They're just lazy. They're just blah, 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 blah. This just isn't important to them. Then you need to take a good, hard look at yourself, because chances are those are qualities you possess. Your team will magnify tenfold qualities they see in you. And they are actually more likely to magnify the bad qualities than the good ones. So the bad qualities that you see in your team are all a reflection of you somehow. And so again, in order for the team to change, you have to change. Law of magnetism. First, change you, change the thing that is magnetizing to others, and the thing that is attracted to that magnet will then change. B, I expect the people I attract to be similar to me in values, skills, and leadership ability. So many of you are going to want to be so politically correct and be like, no, I want all kinds of people. I accept everybody. Wrong answer. Wrong-o. Okay? Why? Because you are not everybody's cup of tea. You cannot be everything to everybody. You are not going to be attractive to everybody. You cannot serve everybody. You're not a taco. Okay? You are not a taco. You can't make everybody happy. Okay. All right. So you first need to understand that when you are rating yourself with this, the goal is that not that you want to attract people that are exactly like you, because yes, we do want some diversity, but what it's asking is, are you attracting people who are similar to you in values? Do they value hard work? Do they value discipline? Do they value having a vision and executing a mission? Do they have tacos? Hey, look, you guys woke up. There you are. All I got to do is talk about tacos. And so that is what you are looking for. They're not saying, do you want people that are exactly like you, that if you're crappy at technology, you only recruit people who are crappy with technology, or that if you're really good at planning, you only recruit people who are good at planning? No. But what it means is who you are at your core. Are you attracting people like that? If you are hardworking, disciplined, and motivated, are you going to want to attract someone who's lazy with zero vision? No. Do you know how exhausting that's going to be for you as an upline? And for them, you're going to be doing some heavy body dragging, and they're going to be drugged halfway across the, great beyond. It's not comfortable for anybody. C, I almost said number C. C is, I recognize that no personnel process can improve the quality of people I recruit compared to improving myself. Do you truly believe that in order to improve the quality of life around you, it first starts with you, not the people around you? That if you feel like your team is letting you down, if you feel like your team is not living up to their fullest potential, if you feel like they are their volume sucks and they're not hitting right, if you default to getting upset with your team rather than looking at yourself and saying, well, what am I doing? How am I leading, or how am I not leading? What am I doing? What am I not doing? Right? You first need to look in before you look out. And do you recognize that it's not about training them first? It's not about teaching them first. It's not about Zooming with them first, tell them what they can and can't do, how many RCMs they need to do, how many people they need to be reaching out to. It first starts with you. You improve first. Just like with parenting, when you change your lifestyle and when you start living differently, when you start adopting different morals, different eating habits, different lifestyle changes, your children naturally begin to do that. It might take a little bit of teaching and explaining, but they will emulate it because that's just the standard in your house. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago in tribal leadership, is tribal leaders set the standard for what will and will not be tolerated within the tribe. Right? So if you are doing certain things or allowing certain things, right? If you're like, oh, yeah, I'm just not going to get on this Zoom because of whatever, I'm tired. And I'm not saying to be on every single Zoom, but I'm saying, again, it's a pattern. Then guess what? Your team is not going to prioritize them. If you are a parent who eats nothing but junk food and candy and carbs and soda, your children will not be vegans. Okay? They will not. Maybe when they're older and they're like, I don't want the diabetes. But when they're kids and they're living in your house, they will do exactly what you do. But remember this, they do what you do, but they are more likely to amplify the bad things about you than they are the good things. Just like parenting. You could quote the whole Bible, but as soon as you say the F word, your toddler will only remember that one word and will go around repeating it to the entire church, right? That's just how it goes. And so it's the same thing with this. If you do not prioritize certain things, if you are not consistent, if you are crappy at planning, if you are not good with content, whatever it is, whatever you're not good at, your team will magnify that times 10. And it will become the very things that they are no longer good at. Okay. The last one is 10, the law of connection. This is something that both Alicia and I and Tracy and all of our teams are really, really big on, is building community. So the law of connection, leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. When I am new to a leadership situation, one of the first things I try to do is develop a personal connection with the individuals involved. Do you know how many kids your downlines have? Do you know what their names are? Heck, do you know what their names are? Do you know if they're married or not? Do you know where they live? Do you know what they like and don't like? Right? And a lot of people can't say that. And so one of the things that we really stress here, I know Alicia and I know a lot of other leaders on this call, like Tracy and Sue Ellen, we have our downlines Amazon wish lists. Right? We have their addresses in Postable, so we can just send them things. We talk to them. We might know their kids' names. We know their spouses' names. We know what they like. Why? Because we make the time to. We make the time to connect with people like that. And that goes a long way. Why? Because it leads into one of the other laws, which is building trust, right? The law of trust. Connection is pivotal to that. You can't get someone to trust you without having some kind of connection. As soon as you can connect with somebody about something, you can walk right into that door of trust. Now, I'm not saying like they're going to trust you with like the keys to their car and their house and all that, but I'm just saying that they will begin to trust you. And this is also really important with being a leader in your space, so that when you're talking, even customers, the law of connection. Why is Tracy Auto Elite? Well, because she knows every one of her freaking customers. She knows their kids. She knows their birthday. She knows their anniversary. She sends them gifts. Like, she's connected to them. That's why they keep buying. Why do your customers don't? Maybe because you just have zero connection with them, because of my personality and some of my personality and my character flaws and defects. That's one of my weaknesses. This is something that I have to work a lot harder to do. Alicia is a natural at it. Yes, she is. Don't let her do this. She is a natural at connecting with her team. She get out of here. This girl knows her team like no other. Okay, so we're just she can sit here and take a big old slice of humble pie all day long. I'm gonna shove it in her face and make her eat it. And so she is really good at connecting with her people. She is really good at knowing their love languages, right? So connect with people. B is, I know the stories, hopes, and dreams of people I lead. Do you have one-to-one Zooms with your personal recruits? Do you know what their goals are? Do you know, I mean, you might know what rank they're going for. You might know that they do what Paul says, I am 4K, I am 12K. Cool. Great. I could guess that because I can go into my cloud and be like, guess what? They are 12K. They are going for 4K. Do you know other things? Do you know if they're saving up for a pool for their kids' college fund? Do you know if they're trying to speak on stage one day? Do you know if they're trying to gain more confidence? Do you know those things? If you don't know those things, how can you help them work towards them? Sometimes rank doesn't always equate to those things that are on their goal list. If they really want to gain more confidence, how are you going to help them do that? Are you asking them to speak on more Zooms? Are you doing more lives with them? Are you helping them branch out and do certain things? You'd never know this if you didn't make time to connect with them and understand what their hopes, goals, and dreams are. Heather is really, really good at this. Heather has one-to-one Zooms with all of her personals weekly, knows their goals, knows what they're going for. Just crazy, just so good. That's why she's really, really good. She's incredible at connecting with her team and knowing exactly what they're running for and how to help them reverse engineer that. Lastly, C is, I avoid asking people to help accomplish the vision until we have built a relationship that goes beyond the nuts and bolts of our work together. So everyone knows that at least with Thrive Army, we have a mission and a vision, and we have it written on our webpage. If you are in Thrive Army and you do not know this, that's okay. We will help you. It may just be that some leaders may not be as plugged in or may not know or may not be aware, and that's 100% okay. That's what we're here for. If you don't know and you've never seen it, let us know. However, if you cannot ask somebody, and I'm always going to default to military stuff, okay, is you cannot say, unless you have a connection with your unit or with your battalion or with your company, hey guys, we're going to go do this battle and we will probably die. But we're just going to go do it, okay? Right? They're going to be like, you can be like, well, because, and then you explain to them rationally why you all need to go be a human sacrifice in this battle, right? They're going to be like, oh, but you know what? Why do some companies, why do some battalions of people go do that? Because they are bought into the mission and the vision of either the war that they're in, the battle, the person standing next to them, their company. They have that connection with their brothers. Okay. So you cannot ask people, you cannot ask your team to go into battle with you. And that's sometimes what it feels like we do. Okay. It feels like we go into battle sometimes with the myriad of things we endure. I cannot ask people to, sacrifice family time. I cannot ask people to reprioritize their life. I cannot ask these things of people until I first connect with them, get to know them, let them know that they're valued. They have bought into the mission and the vision of what we are doing. Because only then can you do things that suck. Can you make the sacrifices and the risks that are necessary in this journey? And so a lot of people might just be lacking that connection. Getting to know people on a personal level feels silly. It feels like it isn't an income producing activity, but it is something that builds long game. It is something that builds that level of trust that really pulls teams together, and gets people through the long haul and through the tough times. And I can tell you, in any entrepreneurial journey, whether it's network marketing or not, there will be an infinite number of difficult times to be able to endure. So those are the 5 laws. I know Alicia's driving, so I'm trying not to distract her too much. But did you want to hop on and say anything, Alicia, and kind of some closing statements and just some thoughts?
I mean, I think you pretty much nailed everything. I think you explained all of these laws obviously perfectly. Like, you even schooled me on some of them, and I have the damn book, and like, this was my idea. But she's emerging from the darkness. Yeah, I'm here. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people that needed to hear this are not on this and likely won't watch the replay. And that's, again, incredibly unfortunate. But the people that were on tonight, thank you so much for making time for hopping on. I hope that you got a lot of really good golden nuggets. I hope that you guys will be on next week's and the week after that and everyone after that, because we only want to provide you guys with obviously valuable information that are going to make you amazing leaders. And because with amazing leaders, you get amazing teams. I loved all of these laws. I have a feeling that the laws that I have to go over next week are probably my weaker ones. I will say that I did not get 9s all the way across the board. I know that there are some people who probably did, and I think that those people may not have been 100% truthful with themselves. I may have only gotten a handful of 9s, honestly. The rest were, I mean, I had a laundry list of 5s through 7s. And I know those are the ones that I will probably have to, I'll be the one teaching you guys those next week. So it's greatness. I don't have my workbook with me, obviously, but I love this. I love anything that I feel like is like, oh, you're going really fast, mister. I love anything that I can like I told y'all last week, if I can work on it and there's stories and there's ways that I can relate it to myself, I'm going to just learn better. And I think that's one of the things that's really important when it comes to leadership is figuring out how certain people on your team learn. Courtney can read a book once and have so much knowledge just stuck up here from reading that book. And I have to read that book at least 3 or 4 times. And that's if I even finish it the first time. So I didn't even finish Magnetic sponsoring, and we did that I don't even know how long ago. So I think it's very important to figure out what it is that your team responds to, figure out what methods works for them and how they learn the best way. And that's time consuming, but it's worth it because once you figure it out, things begin to flourish. So do those one-on-ones. They are important. This is a great way to figure that out, to figure out how they learn and what their strong suits are, what their weaknesses are. So if you haven't started doing those one-on-ones, likely because you may have just gotten the workbook, I really do encourage you, once you dive into the workbook a little bit more, start scheduling those one-on-ones with your downline and go over the workbook with them, figure out what their strong suits are, figure out what their weaker areas are, and start working on those. Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, we'll be going over 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 next week. Again, if you have yet to complete these, I really encourage you guys to. It's not something that should be incredibly time consuming. It might take you about 30 to 45 minutes if you're really using some good introspection. The evaluation is not in here. It is in a link that we sent out to all the group chats. And this is what we will be utilizing to do a lot of those one-to-one Zooms, because I almost look at it like when I go back to the corporate world that I worked in as a program developer, is using these almost like performance evaluations, right? Or like performance reviews. So you find some of your weaker ones, and then you just say, okay, well, how can we work on these? What are some practical ways that we can work on building these skills? And then in 2, 3, 4 months time, when we look back, can we look back and say, wow, yeah, you really improved in this area? Or what did you feel like helped you? What do you feel like distracted you, right? You kind of use them like performance reviews. And we talk a lot about goal setting. For those who weren't on my Friday Zoom, when I took over for Dakota, we talked a lot about goal setting, but we talked about what is getting in your way, how to set effective goals by understanding the obstacles that hold you back. And you might find a lot of those obstacles in this evaluation. if you're truly honest with yourself, you will find out what they are. So I highly encourage you guys to do it. When you do, send it to your 4K, 12K upline. If your 4K or 12K upline looks at you and says, "What the heck is this?" then chances are they are not plugged into this Zoom. And you just send it to the next upline that is. So hopefully we can get you guys plugged into somebody who can help you, help work with you a little bit more on a one-to-one level, and what you can improve on and how you can grow and how you can utilize the strengths that you do have. Because a lot of you guys are going to have some high numbers, and chances are you're probably not utilizing those skills half as much as you should. So yep, I will go ahead. We will let you go. We have kept you on now for almost an hour, but we really want to make sure you have a really, really good understanding of these laws of leadership, because not only are you evaluating yourself on them, but these are really going to be what drives you as long as you're a leader. And if you're somebody who really is driven to be a great leader for you, for your family, for your team, for whatever, these are the things that you are going to need. And so we're going to really dive heavily into them. So thank you guys so much for making time to be on. I always, we always really, really deeply appreciate the time you take from, your family or just your time to be able to be on these. So thank you guys so much. If you missed this or you want to revisit it afterwards, it will be uploaded to the Thrive Army YouTube channel within the next 24 hours or so. Sometimes we are really on it and they can be up there in an hour. Sometimes it'll take a full day. So give us some grace. But thank you guys so much. We love you and we will let you guys go. See you tomorrow.